Hi guys, it's Jolene. This week we're reading another story from the Lectionary Story Bible by Ralph Milton. This week our story is based on Paul's letter to Philemon. There are lots of letters by Paul in the Bible. We call them epistles. Paul wrote letters to lots of churches back a long time ago in the first century, like 2,000 years ago, when the church was just starting. So all of these churches were brand new, and Paul would write to them to help them decide how to do things and how to talk about God. So this one we're going to read is based on Paul's letter to Philemon. Do you know what an enslaved person is? An enslaved person is a person who sort of belongs to someone else, the way that you might own an animal, like a farmer owns a horse or a chicken or a cow. But an enslaved person doesn't get to decide what they get to do, like the farmer's horse and the chicken and the cow kind of have to do what the farmer says. So people who owned enslaved people, they could kind of do what they wanted. And they could make them work very hard. And they could hurt them. And yeah, they could be really mean to their enslaved people if they wanted to. This was a long time ago. We don't do that anymore because we know that it's wrong. God loves every person in the whole world and never wants anybody to be enslaved. There are laws in our countries that say that you are not allowed to do that anymore because we know it's very wrong. Everybody should be free. But in Bible times, many people were enslaved. Many people. And in our Bible, there is a letter that was written by Paul to his friend Philemon, who lived in Colossia. Philemon had an enslaved person named Onesimus. Onesimus was very unhappy being enslaved, so he ran away. Onesimus ran all the way to Rome to see his friend Paul. He knew Paul because Paul had come on a visit one time and told Philemon and everyone else who lived at his house about Jesus. He had heard Paul say, "In God's eyes, enslaved people are as important as anyone else. God says there is no difference between someone who is enslaved and someone who isn't," right? We talked last week about how everybody is the same amount of important to God. Paul was happy to see him. "But I'm worried," said Paul. He put an arm around his shoulder. "My friend," he said, "you know that it is against the law to run away." This was back a long time ago, before they had laws saying it was wrong to enslave people. "I know," he said, "but you said that God sees no difference between someone who is enslaved and someone who isn't. So why should I be enslaved by Philemon?" "Maybe you shouldn't be. But if Philemon is angry, he might send soldiers to catch you, and they might hurt you." "What should I do?" he asked. "Can you be very brave?" asked Paul. "I can try." "Well then," said Paul, "I will write a letter to you to take to Philemon. I will remind him that God doesn't want anyone to enslave anyone else. God thinks everyone is important and loves all of us. Then I will ask him to be kind to you and think of you not as an enslaved person, but as a brother." "Will he do that?" Onesimus asked. "I think so. I hope so. But if you don't go back to Philemon, you'll just have to keep running and running. And someday, one of the soldiers will catch you." "Then I will be brave," said Onesimus. "I will take the letter to Philemon." "And I will pray to God for you," said Paul. "I will pray that you will be brave, and I will pray that Philemon will be a kind person who remembers what I told him about God." Now, we only have Paul's letter, so we don't know what happened next, and we have to use our imaginations. But Ralph Milton, who wrote this book, says that he imagines that Philemon remembered what Paul said about God and how it's wrong to enslave people. He thinks that Philemon put his arm around Onesimus and said, "From now on, I will treat you like a brother, not like an enslaved person." So, back a long, long time ago, 2,000 years ago, and in some other points in history, it was legal for some people to enslave other people. Now we know that's very wrong, and we have laws that say that's very wrong and we cannot do that anymore. But this letter was important at the time because Paul was teaching people that even though the law said they were allowed to do it, that didn't mean it was okay. Because some things are wrong, even if they're not against the rules. So today we're going to read a book called Dreams of Freedom in Words and Pictures. Now this is published by Amnesty International, and it has a whole bunch of authors and a whole bunch of illustrators, a whole bunch of people who write it and a whole bunch of people who draw the pictures. So I hope that you will buy this book and maybe look it up online and learn more about all of these people and all of the people who drew the artwork. Dreams of Freedom. We all have freedoms, and everybody, now we know, has the right to be free and to be free in different ways, so no one can enslave us. So these are the rights of freedoms that we have. The freedom to dream. To achieve great things, we must dream as well as do. Now that is by Anatole France. I hope I say all these people's names right. This picture is by Sharon Adel. Freedom to be a child. You have the freedom to be a child, right? You have all of these freedoms. Children are neither the property of their parents nor even the world. They belong only to their own future freedom. That's by Mikhail Bakunin. And this picture is by Birgitta Sif. Freedom to learn. Are you learning right now? I hope you are. We all have the freedom to learn. I don't mind if I have to sit on the floor at school. All I want is education, and I am afraid of no one. That's Malala Yousafzai. And this picture is by Roger Mello. We all have the freedom to learn things, To learn how to read and do math, to learn how to build things if we want, or drive a car if we want when you're older. Freedom from fear. The only real prison is fear, and the only real freedom is freedom from fear. You should never let your fears prevent you from doing what you know is right. Aung San Suu Kyi. And this picture is by Alexis Deakin. Nobody wants to be afraid, right? We all have the right to be free from fear. Freedom to be yourself. We've talked about that too. Everybody gets to decide how to be themselves. If I am different, I make no apology, and I hope that others will have the courage to be themselves and stand up for what they believe in. Fight for those who need protection, love who they want to love, and be proud of it. That's Claire Balding. And this picture is by Auntie Von Glenn. See, we all get to decide how to be ourselves. Freedom of expression. When I draw, it's as if a voice is shouting inside me. That's Ali Farsad. Do you feel like that? Do you get to draw sometimes and you get to express yourself and show your feelings in your artwork? That's very special, and everybody should have the freedom to do that, right? This picture is by Baru. Freedom to enjoy life and liberty. Oh, I will love the day when I break out of this cage, escape this solitary exile, and sing wildly. That's Nadia Anjuman. See, there's a bird in the cage. And the cat's kind of looking at it, and it probably feels kind of scared, right? Maybe it's not getting freedom from fear, and so it wants to enjoy life and liberty. It wants to go be away from the cat and fly. Freedom to not be unfairly imprisoned, right? Nobody should have the right to put us in jail if we didn't do anything wrong, right? Wings will grow someday on my wheelchair. I will be able to fly over parks carpeted with children and violets. And that's by Armando Valladares. That person's imagining what it would be like if they were free from their wheelchair. Because there are some things that people in wheelchairs can't do as easily as other people, right? It's good to use our imaginations and imagine how things might be in the future. Freedom from slavery. That's what we talked about in our Bible story. When I found I had crossed that line, I looked at my hands to see if I was the same person now I was free. There was such a glory over everything. The sun came like gold through the trees and over the fields, and I felt like I was in heaven. That's Harriet Tubman. Some of these people you may have learned about in school. I learned about Harriet Tubman in school. This picture is by Mordecai Gerstein. Look, there's Harriet Tubman. Because we all should be free from slavery, right? We know that's wrong. Freedom through equality. My hand is not the color of yours, right? Like sometimes my hands might not be the same color as your hand. My skin might not be the same color as your skin. There are lots of different colors of skin, huh? But if I pierce it, I shall feel pain, right? Everybody feels hurt sometimes. If you pierce your hand, you also feel pain. The blood that will flow from mine will be the same color as yours. I am a man. The same God made us both. That's Chief Standing Bearer of the Ponca tribe. So everybody on the outside looks different, and we talked about how we get to express ourselves and dress how we like, but on the inside, we're all made of mostly the same stuff. And God loves us all. And this picture is by R. Gregory Christie. So that's Chief Standing Bearer. Freedom to have your own ideas. I know what I want. I have a goal, an opinion. Let me be myself, and then I am satisfied. Anne Frank. I learned about Anne Frank in school too. Yeah, there's some airplanes because Anne Frank lived during a time of war and during the Holocaust. And she had ideas that were different than her government at the time, and she wrote them down. We all have freedom to have our own ideas. Freedom to feel safe. I feel most at home when it's raining. Do you like the rain? I like rain sometimes. Not too loud, but when it's falling slowly. I like to sit and watch it. Back at home in Africa, it came when the leaves were green. The world is very rough. I like it when it's gentle and calm and peaceful. It can't always be like that, but that's what I like. That's Jack Mapanje. We all want to feel safe, right? I don't like to feel unsafe. This picture is by Dale Blankenar. Freedom to have a home. Everybody deserves to have a home, right? That's why sometimes at church we help people who don't have houses, because everybody deserves to have somewhere to sleep and somewhere to put their things. Yeah. One day we will return to our homeland, snug and warm in our hopes. Oh heart, no matter how far the winds scatter us, we will return to our homeland. That's Harun Hashim al-Rashid. And this picture is by Raouf Carey. Everybody deserves to have a home. Freedom through peace, just like our church is called Peace. Human beings have the right to pursue happiness and live in peace and freedom. That's the Dalai Lama. The Dalai Lama is an important leader in Tibetan Buddhism. That's another kind of religion. We all deserve peace, right? Freedom to take responsibility. I have walked that long road to freedom. I have tried not to falter. I have made missteps along the way, but I have discovered the secret that after climbing a great hill, one only finds that there are many more hills to climb. I have taken a moment here to rest, but I can only rest for a moment. For with freedom come responsibilities, and I dare not linger, for my long walk is not yet ended. And that's by Nelson Mandela. This picture is by Shane Evans. We all have the freedom to take responsibility, to say what we've done and what we should have done. Freedom to make a difference. It's better to light a candle than to curse the darkness. That's a Chinese proverb. And this picture is by Chris Riddell. Freedom to make a difference. Freedom to change things, right? When it's dark and if we feel scared, maybe we should turn a light on. Make some change. Like an enormous wave that lies down over my heart, like the stunning beauty of the wind over the pines, like an immense, vital heartbeat, like the moon and the river trapped by love, like all the dreams in the space of the eyes, like a fistful of infinite light. This is the way I love freedom. That's Elsa Wiesel, and a picture by Choi Jung-in. We love freedom, and everybody has the right to be free. This month at church, we're talking about community. And one of the ways that you build community is by making a place that's safe and joyful and free for everybody, so that everybody has the freedom to express themselves, to dress how they like, to learn, to have a house, all those things. So we'll keep talking more about community this month. I'll see you guys soon.
Everyone, everywhere in the world, and all throughout time, in the ancient past and in the faraway future, has a heartbeat, just like you. All people love and live and feel. All people tell stories to make sense of it all. Let's keep telling stories to honor the past and help create the future. I'll see you next time.